Alright everyone, we're back with the liberation of Smithon in another episode of our BattleTech campaign Let's Play, and we have the same lance we fielded at the end of the last mission with our new 100-ton Annihilator, quick draw heavy, which has been with the lance for a long time, Shadowhawk, which is just a little bit underweight, and that's why we have that little notification there, and is made into a bit of a punch bot, which is exciting, as well as a Vindicator, which again has been with us almost since the very beginning of this campaign. So this is a 2-skull priority mission, meaning that it is part of the campaign storyline, and with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so this mission is particularly tricky. We have some garrison units to destroy, and we want to try to save some of the ammo crates that are placed in and amongst the field of combat here. These ammo crates are a little bit unique. I think this is the only time, if not one of only a couple times, that you see them in the entirety of this game. And basically the idea is we could use them to harm our enemies, but in so doing we get rid of one of our own objectives. We get rid of a bit of a payday, and these priority missions do have just absolutely wonderful pay, so every little bit that we can get as a percentage bonus is quite significant. So what I've done is I've split up the lance a little bit. We have the Annihilator over here on the right, we have the quick draw, Shadowhawk, and Vindicator over here on the left, and the Shadowhawk might come back around to the right, seeing as it is a bit of a punch bot and needs to be in melee combat. But what I wanted to do was go ahead and collapse really quickly on this light laser turret, as well as on whatever that mech is over there. So, can we move the Vindicator? Yeah, we can. And I think our first priority will be just moving up, taking a pot shot on this turret. It's not one of the objectives, but those medium lasers and MGs add up, and these turrets are, to a certain extent at least, a relatively easy kill. So we do have some fire coming in on the Annihilator. It looks like some sort of LRM, either a 5 or a 10, probably a 10 by the look of it. And, well, with just the one mech over here, I think what we might do is sprint back around to this side, maybe get ready to have that Shadowhawk draw a little bit of fire, since it does have nice evasion and it is right out front. And now we can come in with a quick draw, get into the forest, get some good evasion ourselves. Looks like that's just a spider, not really a big deal. In fact, less of an armament than this laser turret, so we'll open up fire here on the turret, more than enough to take that turret out. And now these two mechs are just trying to get this spider, and then potentially coming up around and flanking the side of where the rest of the opposition is coming in. So it looks like there's at least one heavy. If memory serves, it's usually a dragon, and ooh. Well, those could be turrets. Yeah, those are turrets. So there's a light LRM turret, which has LRM 20, basically. 2 light LRM turrets. So the decision we have to make now, well, I guess we would if we come down this way, is what we shoot at, right? So if we come over here, we don't have great accuracy against that fire starter. So what I think I will do is move over here to the right and take that shot on that light LRM turret. And this should be more than enough to kill it, but we have tons of ammunition, so I'm not really concerned. Let's go ahead and light it up with everything, and wow, yeah. So that Annihilator really just proving how powerful autocannons can be. And we've already taken out 2 turrets on the first turn of combat, which should allow us to really focus on defeating these garrison units without the threat of any sort of additional overwhelming, potentially firepower. So that light LRM turret coming in. Ooh, I had forgotten about the little added wrinkle here. So there are some trucks, I guess, that we have to stop from escaping. That light mech, that Locust, is about to get punched, which should be really satisfying. And the nice thing is that defeating the garrison units isn't timed. It's only, well, I guess something we have to consider our own lance health for. Previously, I haven't really had enough firepower to consider going after those escaping transports, but now I think we might. So, okay, let's move it twice in a row, which is, well, less than ideal. Sometimes the movement in this game is a little bit sketchy. So you see something that's already moved, and then it just suddenly has different initiative based off of how long combat's been going or whether or not combat has started. It can be a little bit of a pain, but let's see. We could come in here with a 95% chance to hit on that locust. Does seem like what we want to do, but I want to leave him, well, only 2 evasion pips for right now. It's not spectacular, so it looks like the quick draw is going to be the only mech with the chance of hitting that vehicle potentially, and if we don't, it's not the end of the world. It is just a bonus objective. The more important thing is that we can come up here and take a pot shot at the spider. Well, better accuracy against the locust, but the spider does need to go, and it is tempting to try to increase our accuracy there a little bit, but I think we'll just take the shot for right now. Hopefully we can land, well, okay, so that was not great. Our highest chance to hit was with the small, which admittedly does the least damage, but every little bit counts, and the Vindicator now taking some LRM fire, and we need to clear this field a little bit before those 4 mechs come up here, because that Panther, with its PPC, can do quite a bit. One of these back here at least should be a heavy, and let's go ahead and come down with the Shadow Hawk, see if we can't land a good punch on that locust, and that locust is just one shot right out. So this is why we've been building the Shadow Hawk into a bit of a punch bot. Only 1 evasion pip, less than ideal. So let's see, is that a turret coming in, or is that another mech? It's hard to say at the moment, and we can't actually get a line of sight on that vehicle. So because we can't, let's just say, you know what, let's try to save the crates, let's try to focus on these mechs and get the bonus payout from that. So we're getting close to the end of our initiative round, and we have quite a bit of resolve from taking out that locust, so I think we will use a precision strike on this spider, and notably this leaves us above 50%, so we still get an accuracy bonus for our Annihilator on initiative 1. So doing some good damage, ripping through the side torso of that spider. There are still 7 remaining mechs and 1 more turret, so the choice we have to make right now is, do we want to try to fire in on some of those mechs as they approach? We could have some pretty spectacular accuracy potentially. Well, no, not really. So I guess what I would prefer to do, flanking Firestarter could be an issue eventually. What I would prefer to do is just move up a little bit again, wait for them to come into the range of those AC-10s, and for right now just open up with the Ultra ACs and the medium lasers. Just, well, no sense building the heat, so let's drop the medium lasers, they shouldn't be needed, and let's just see if we can take out that turret. So more than enough firepower even without the medium lasers. Anything that does have a good chance to hit for our lance will be just absolutely destroyed. And now there's a second transport, so it's a little bit farther back. That one we might be able to stop. And the Shadow Hawk taking a bit of a beating. That PPC, Panthers are really some of the most effective light mechs that I think are in the game. Just my own humble opinion, because that PPC when it lands is just devastating. I mean, granted, a melee mech, the sensor problem doesn't really matter as much, and this is what I was talking about. It seems like those vehicles are moving twice, doesn't it? Because they spawn in here already partially out from the compound, and then they move, and I think that's what it is that they're spawning partially away and they're moving right down this way. And you know, much as we already have an assault mech, we are taking some damage, and I don't think we have enough, well, spare time, I guess, spare armor, really, to focus on that, because that Shadow Hawk just getting absolutely ravaged by several mechs. Yeah, so that left torso already taking some damage, and we could potentially lose a little bit of our armament if this keeps up. So they do still have 1 more mech moving on 3, and it is the Dragon, so that heavy mech coming in with an AC-5, 2 medium lasers, and an LRM-10, that's a big deal. So the choice that we have now is we could shoot at the ammunition crate, potentially blow up that Dragon, but nothing is really clustered around one of them. A better choice might have been to shoot that ammunition crate at the end of last turn, when it did have a couple mechs clustered around it. Now we could come up and hit the Cicada. Well, so this is a dangerous location, that's fine. I think that's the choice that I want to do, because that will get us a couple evasion pips, which will reset our Shadow Hawk survivability, and yeah, we're able to put quite a pounding on that Cicada. From that really high melee damage coming in, we do have a nice arm modification, plus I think 60 or 65 melee damage on that mech, and we're looking for a second. Those are a little bit of a rare black market find, but if we can find them, we could make that punch bot into a truly devastating mech. So I'm looking for a spot we can get 2 pips of evasion and still fire on the spider, but what we might want to do instead, so let's see, so it is the left-hand side of that mech that has been torn off. What we could do, well, no line of sight there. Yeah, so if we come up here, we get our 2 evasion pips and we can fire in on the cicada. Just trying to focus fire, take that mech out, and then with a quick draw, move up and focus on that damaged spider. So really phenomenal accuracy here, kind of shooting a little bit past and through, I guess, our own mech, and we are able to take that cicada off the board. So only 6 enemy mechs remaining, and we have taken some damage, but I don't think it's quite to the level of being potentially catastrophic just yet. So not the best shot on that spider. Excellent evasion there. The Jenner has even better evasion, and I don't think it's worth blowing up one of those ammunition crates quite yet. I'd like to see if they cluster here or potentially here with the next turn. So we will be moving up the quick draw, and I think taking a precision strike on the back of this spider, just because if we do manage to land a little bit here clustered on the back, we could just take this mech out in one go, or if we land here on the leg, let's see, so 70% chance to hit the leg, and that will be what we do, just make that mech into a bit of a sitting duck. And it looks like that's enough. Well, okay, so CT destroyed. Maybe it was carrying, maybe it had some MG ammunition in there or something that was making that dangerous. But we are able to take that mech out, so just 5 remaining now. So we're going through at a good clip. Maybe we could have tried to take out some of these vehicles. If there's a third, we might want to do that for the added payday. But you know, it's not like, well, we're a little bit strapped for cash, but it's not like it's super urgent either. And now we have a bit of a choice to make. So the fire starter is just truly being a madman over here, coming around and completely flanking, which is some of the best maneuvering I think I've seen the AI do in quite a while. And well, okay, so there's 2 evasion pips, so we'll take that, and actually that gives us a great line of sight on this dragon, not within range of the medium lasers unfortunately, but we do have enough resolve that we can precision strike, pop back up above 50% at the beginning of next turn, and well, 5% chance to hit the head. Let's see what we can do. Doesn't look like we're quite able to do it, and we do have some structure exposed there, maybe being able to rip off an arm relatively soon. And that fire starter coming back and around, I'd like to take him on with the Shadowhawk if possible. So let's see what we can do there. But the Shadowhawk is in a prime position to just keep punching everything. Potentially even getting a rear arc punch on that Panther, although that would be a little bit dangerous. And now we do have 2 mechs clustered around this one ammunition dump, so what we could do is, well, let's see where everything else moves. Okay, so enemy transport has escaped, that's fine. It's not a main objective, we just missed a bit of a payday. I think what we might want to do is move the Shadowhawk back, prepare to fend off the fire starter on that side, and then once it's out of the way of this ammunition crate, we could just blow the crate. And this has the added benefit of this Shadowhawk is getting a little bit beaten up, more so than I would like. So what we could do is, well, we can't even run because we have that much instability. So what we could do is jump back over here, which doesn't really help our instability that much, and we will want some vigilance. We lose our accuracy bonus for that, but we save our mech from potentially getting knocked over. We have the less valuable left arm exposed to the bulk of the enemy fire, and we could come in here with twin SRM-6s. Not really a ton of damage, but just prime that fire starter for our incoming punch here. And somehow Archangel has taken an injury. Maybe it was a head hit? Yeah, it looks like it was a head hit, which is unfortunate, but now the Vindicator can move up to the side, and we have nothing within the radius of explosion for that ammunition crate, so we'll come up here, and we will just take an absolute pot shot at this crate. And it doesn't have the most health, but I still would like to fire with at least 2, just because if I fire with only 1 and it does miss, I'll feel a bit like a fool. So we take out that crate, and it looks like at least 1 mech, maybe both mechs, are just down from that. So yep, well, 1 goes down. 1 goes down, and the other is functionally down. We rip off both arms from that Panther, it loses its PPC, which has been just doing so much work. And the Dragon now coming up in enough effective range to make good use of that AC-5. And we only have to save 6 ammo crates. We could blow another one. I'm not sure there'd be really any point to it, but you know, it's an option. So with the quick draw, which is running a little bit hot, I think we should move down into the water here, and we have a bit of a choice to make. We could unload on the dragon, which is presenting its undamaged left side to us, or we could try to finish off the panther, which still could try to punch, right? When you rip off the enemy's arms, they do get a little bit punch happy. Or we could fire in on this undamaged griffin, but as armament, PPC is scary, but I think I would just want the mech off the board so that we don't have to deal with it later. So let's see if we can take that panther out, and that is enough damage to core that mech out completely. So only 3 mechs remaining. We have the dragon, we have the griffin, and this stubborn little fire starter over here. So now what do we shoot at? That's the big question. So that's great accuracy, that's even better accuracy. I think what we'll want to do, since we do have such amazing accuracy on this griffin, as opposed to slightly worse, especially where it counts with those heavier AC-10s, on the dragon, is we'll turn on everything, and we'll see how much of a hole we can punch through this griffin in one go. I see a lot of orange, structure exposed, unfortunately nothing flaking off of that mech. It does look like we scatter the damage a little bit, and you know, I would be willing to trade some of those AC-10s for either Ultra AC-10s or even potentially an Ultra AC-5 or an AC-20, with the idea being to get a little bit more of a clustered shot if we can. So I'm not sure it's worth jumping here. Well, yeah, so if we jump we can shoot. So we will jump here. We'll build a little bit of heat doing this, but that's fine because you know, when we punch we'll sink that heat quite well, and we'll open up 2 SRM-6s and an improved small laser on that fire starter, which is now beginning to take quite a beating. Both the transports are away, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we don't really have the speed to catch them anyway. This is something where I kind of miss the fire javelin that we had on that early convoy mission, because that fire javelin was able to just catch up and deal so much damage with those quad medium lasers on that convoy while it was trying to escape. So very damaged right leg, but the dragon is about to move. So just a bit of a tip for newer players, I guess. If you ever have the choice between 2 relatively equal targets, but one of them hasn't moved, take the one that hasn't moved, because on the off chance that you are able to rip something off of it, you've just decreased their combat effectiveness for this round as opposed to next round. And we aren't able to actually achieve that, but it was still good in principle. And the Annihilator, taking quite a bit of fire, but that's what it's meant to do, right? This is the role of a 100-tonner when it's the heaviest thing in the lance by far. And it looks like Medusa also taking a hit. We just have not been very lucky with that this episode. It's actually quite impressive taking that many head hits in a row. So I do want to stay in the water if at all possible. And we do have a nice shot on the dragon, so I'm going to face this way so that we don't expose our rear easily to that fire starter, and we will just continue opening fire, hopefully able to rip off a right arm or right torso if possible from that dragon. Not quite enough to do it, but now, I mean, both of these parts are hanging on by a thread. 3 internal structure on the arm, 15 on the torso, and there's 2 buckets of AC-5 ammunition there, so we'll come up here to the right, and we're going to just try to bore right through the right-hand side of this mech, with the goal being set off those ammo crates, see if we can't just core this thing out in one go, and that is enough. So the dragon is down, leaving only the fire starter and this griffin here up on the top, and that really shouldn't be all that difficult to take out. So the fire starter, for some reason, deciding not to move and just come in with 1 medium laser, and now our Shadowhawk can just open up, but well, I guess let's do that second, because the griffin is about to move as well, so let's come up nice and close to that griffin, and we could slow it down. So yeah, we'll slow that thing down by a round, see if we can take out the leg as well. Landing a couple medium lasers, that should be enough, and it is. So the griffin falls, and now that griffin is moving quite a bit later this round, giving us time to move our Shadowhawk into safety, potentially even come in with a quick draw shot, because it is moving on initiative 1, so we will have a chance to hit with that quick draw. And let's give this fire starter a taste of that Shadowhawk's right hook there. So able to tear off a torso and an arm. We do miss with the small laser follow-up, which is not really what I'd hoped for. It seems like we're landing either one or the other these days, and that's not really great. We want to land as much as we can for obvious reasons. And I think the plan should be, yeah, so we'll move up here, we'll face both of these mechs, and just keep the quick draw, which does run a little bit hot usually, as nice and cool as we can. So Good chance to hit that damaged right torso, which I think would tear off the PPC, so we will go for that. Just, I don't think we have enough to kill this mech in one go, but taking off most of its firepower is almost as good. So we rip the right arm off that Griffin, that PPC is out of action, and that Griffin now, standing up, will find most of its ability to continue hurting us gone. So it does left face, which is smart, handing us that undamaged side to sink all of our firepower into, and we have a bit of a choice now. So the Griffin is mostly handled, actually all of its weapons out off the board. So as much as I wanted to let the Shadowhawk really just solo this Firestarter here, it does make better sense now for us to come in with the Annihilator and just try to pound this mech into the ground. So we do take that mech out. Now there's only one more on the field, and it doesn't even have a single gun. So we should be able to just come in here with a couple of our own mechs, staying outside of its melee range, because those melee attacks could still hurt. The Griffin does a decent amount of melee damage, and our goal right now is just to take this thing out from afar, end the mission with 2 of the bonus objectives completed, 2 of those ammo crates saved. And in the past, you know, I have had to light up more of those ammunition crates. We really do have a bit of luck going for us with that heavy Annihilator, even though it has taken a fair amount of beating this mission. So, well, with the head hit, 2 head hits, that's going to be quite a lot of time in the med bay. We don't really have all those upgrades yet on our Argo, so we do still have a lot of time for any pilot that takes an injury. But the nice thing is, as your pilots get better, as they have more potential injuries, the injuries, I think, if memory serves, do take less time to recover from. So just because we're trying to finish this as quickly as possible, let's see if we can leg this mech, and we do take out both legs. So that'll be the mission, and we'll be right back with the mission reward screen. Alright, 1.5 million, which is very nice. We were down to only 500,000 in cash remaining, and let's see what salvage we can find. So, the dragon part is valuable. We only get 1, which is a little bit unfortunate, but let's go ahead and take that dragon part, and then if we come down here, let's see if there's anything valuable. So, no, sometimes we'll have heat exchangers or something like that. That's easy to overlook, but as it is, no such luck. So we'll take the Griffin part, and we'll take, I think, I'm not a big fan of it, but so I am a big fan of the Firestarter. These things, you can create absolute monsters of hunter-killer mechs with those 6 support hardpoints, loading up with some good small lasers or MGs, something like that, and a couple arm mods. So Firestarters can be devastating, so we'll take that piece. And I guess that'll do for now. Maybe we'll complete the dragon using the store. I think it should, after this mission, have some dragons available, and we'll be right back with another mission. Alright, so we're back with a 2-skull base capture mission, and we do have the next priority mission available for the campaign, but I think that will come in with tomorrow's episode after we've given our 2 best pilots here, Archangel and Medusa, some time to recover from those unfortunate head injuries they took during the last mission. So we're coming in with a bit of a different lance here. We're showing off the Thunderbolt that we completed a little while ago, and we did buy 1 last dragon piece from the store here on Smithon, and so we're coming in now with 2 more heavies. Still have the Punchbot Shadowhawk, which I've been just very happy with how it's performing, both in terms of its durability and its ability to, well, dish out focused damage to one of the enemy's joints. And we do have the Annihilator here, which I think will become a bit of an anchor for our lance as a whole. So we're dropping a little bit heavy for, well, wings, I guess, on a 2-skull mission, but that's just a little bit because of the planet that we're on really only offers 2 to 2.5 skull missions. I would have taken the 2.5, but it was one of those with the B team, and I'd rather field my own mechs and my own pilots. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so we're back, and it's one of my favorite base destruction or base defense maps here with this nice wide complex. There may be some turrets here on the corners, but we have a lot of room to maneuver, and it's just, I think it's one of the well, more spaced out, more fun maps to play on for this sort of mission. So the Thunderbolt, surprisingly agile, but blocking off the dragon from coming in, and I think we will move the Shadowhawk. We could get a little bit of extra distance with a jump, so we'll do that over here to the side, with the idea being to drive right through the center with the majority of our firepower, and then come in almost with a flanker for the Punchbot Shadowhawk. So Let's continue to move up the Thunderbolt. I'm surprised. Okay, so there's the first enemy contact. I would have been surprised if we didn't have one after moving up quite so far. And the Dragon and Thunderbolt, well, they're getting a little bit ahead of what's supposed to be taking most of the damage in this lance, but that's okay. They have relatively heavy armor, heavier than most of our mediums, and still decent evasion because, you know, with combat not having started quite yet, they did sprint this last turn. So that looks like it's, yeah, that's a light mech. And the second one coming up from around the side, the third coming through this way, and I think the Shadowhawk will be the best way to deal with that flea, because that thing is going to have just lots of evasion all the time. And I'm tempted to reserve, well, okay, so there's no medium quite yet. I'd be surprised if we didn't see some sort of reinforcements on this mission, maybe after we've started destroying the base or after we started scouting, and there is a fourth mech, probably another light, and wow, that's a way to build some heat. So because we are running a bit hot and we have just horrible accuracy, we're going to turn off 2 of those medium lasers. Well, okay, let's keep a medium laser, let's save some of our limited SRM ammunition and try to pound through the back armor of that javelin. So not quite enough, but we do strip an evasion pip from him, and that is enough to get our dragon to have a bit of a better shot here. So let's come in with the dragon, let's see what he can do. Just an AC5 and a large laser, potentially too much ammunition there for that AC5, but my goal is when the next time we hit a black market, replace that singular AC5 with an ultra AC5, which will tear through the ammunition at twice the pace. So let's move up at a sprint toward this side, get in position to punch either one of those mechs that decides to hang around there next turn. And now we have the Annihilator moving up, and because we've taken 2 bad shots with the Thunderbolt and the Dragon, now we have decent accuracy on that Javelin. Well, I say decent, it's still not great. We still, I think, are at long range. Yeah, long range for both of the AC-10s, so next turn we'll have an even better shot here. But let's go ahead and open up. If we get something lucky, we can open up that mech, and we do core it out. So, you know, this is why light mechs, for as good as you can make them, really just don't hold up in some of the later missions. It only requires a little bit of luck, and that armor is just paper thin, so especially against the firepower of admittedly a custom assault mech. But, you know, even if we had our quad AC-10 original loadout, which we could face on the field, it's not really that much less damage, because you know, the AC-2 barely does more than a singular AC-10, actually does less, so 2 times 25 versus 1 times 60. It just has better range, and I had wanted a full, well, diversity of ranges on this mech. So let's come in with the Shadowhawk, see if we can land a nice shot on the Locust without exposing our rear, potentially to this Javelin if it decides to come back this way. And that Locust, well, okay, so we take out side, but not a leg. It's always better to go for the legs with these lighter mechs. Knock them down, really increase your accuracy with everything else. And that Flea has quite a bit of evasion, so I think what we want to do is we want to come up and punch. Not the most damage coming in from this dragon, still 90, which is not bad. It is heavier than of a punch than the Thunderbolt, which is why I chose it. And we're not able to knock that mech unsteady, but it only has 5 CT remaining, so let's just make this a bit of an old-fashioned monster mash. Come in with another punch, able to take out that mech entirely, and now we only have 2 lights standing between us and our objective. Let's see if we can make it 1. So horrible accuracy because we haven't stripped anything from that Javelin. I wonder if it would be better just to move up a little bit for now and save ammunition, save a little bit of heat on that Annihilator, and just come in and try to punch again next turn. So the Annihilator taking a scattering of missile fire, more than able to withstand that, and it doesn't even look like any of them hit, which is just adding insult to injury there. Locust coming around, taking a kick on our Thunderbolt. If it has MGs, that could be a little bit more dangerous than it at first appears. And it has a small laser. That's not too bad. So most of those support weapons are really only deadly if they bore right through your armor and have a chance of critting something. So let's come in with the Punchbot Shadowhawk, 145 damage concentrated on that right side, and the follow-up with the laser enough to core out that mech. So this is looking to be a bit of a quick mission. So let's take the dragon and come in and punch. So the right-hand side is damaged right now, so we will come in and go for that CT. So CT destroyed. we're going to fall right back out of combat now and move up, and we should be able to... Oh, okay, so as I said, I would have been surprised if they didn't drop some reinforcements. Hopefully there's something a bit heavier. There's quite a diversity of skull ratings among these missions. 2 skull or 3 skull doesn't really mean that that's the sort of opposition you'll face. Sometimes a 2 skull will be more like a 1.5, sometimes more like a 3. And what I've done here is, well, so I went with a 2 skull with some of the highest payout possible, because higher payout, well, as the joke goes, the better the pay, the worse your chance of surviving to collect it. So let's go ahead and sprint up around here. That's a crab, that's another crab. Okay, so 2 mediums, 2 lights. It could honestly be worse opposition force here. Well, in both sense of the word. It could be worse for us, and it could be worse for them. This really isn't that bad of a lance to field, so we will come in with the dragon, and I think go in for a precision strike on that commando. Excellent accuracy, and my goal here is just to try to take something off the board as quick as possible. We do land that large laser to the CT, but it's not enough to take anything out. Only 8 armor holding on there. And let's see if the Thunderbolt has anything that's within range, so just barely with that large laser. I think it might be a better use of our time to sprint the Thunderbolt up, get excellent evasion, and now the Shadowhawk and Thunderbolt can both take their attention rather than just the Thunderbolt. So if we move up this way, okay, that's really not bad. So we're getting close enough, and if they move up again next turn, I think it is worth us taking this shot, focusing fire on that commando, and landing a stray shot on the crab, which is always nice. So I did mention before we are going to try to cluster our lance together a little bit less, and I think we have been doing that, with the exception of having those 2 heavies go in for that punch a little bit earlier, and they're showing exactly why that was smart. So we might have even, no, so we didn't open up structure, but we did tear quite a bit of armor from that left torso and the left leg of that crab, which, it wasn't our goal, it wasn't what we were aiming for, but it's nice nonetheless. And I think the best play right now is to reserve. Keep as high evasion as we can on our mechs for right now. The Thunderbolt dodging a large laser coming in from that crab, and now we have an exposed rear arc to potentially melee, actually, too. So this crab should be, again, close enough that we can get a nice hit with that melee. The question that we're going to have to consider is if these light mechs have enough evasion where it's a better use of our time to punch them with the Shadowhawk and use some of our heavier mechs to focus fire on things more likely to take the hit. But it looks like there's 2, there's 2, there's 2, and there's 4. So we will be coming in with the Shadowhawk, going and swinging, potentially exposing our rear arc, which is less than ideal, but I think what we'll do, we'll vigilance the Shadowhawk so that it moves on initiative 4, and then we'll come in and we'll take a swing. And the goal here is to move it before either of these crabs have a chance to go. And that is enough to kill the commando. So we haven't yet occupied the facility, but since there aren't any turrets here, I'm really kind of treating that as a last objective to be done right before we complete the mission. And, well, just let us get some good fire here so that we don't take much damage from the opposing forces. So we have an angle on both crabs, and they're identical. So this crab does have less armor. I think let's go in for that. So everything on this Thunderbolt does have us run a little bit hot, but that's some good firepower, so let's see what we can do. We land the large, we land a lot of the mediums, we land most of the SRMs, and it's just not enough to get any significant crits. So let's move up, move the dragon around, and I think we will focus fire on that damaged crab. So let's see if we can get a little bit lucky. With the clustering, we don't, but we open up, maybe it looks like that left arm with the large laser. And now it's our Annihilator's turn. So yeah, so an open left arm, an opened right torso, which should mean that we have some high probability to get some nice scatter, and I'm going in for as direct of a shot as we can get. We could fire in with good accuracy on the Locust, but I want to see if we could finish off this crab before next turn. We have enough resolve rather, where it will pop up above 50% again next turn, so let's come in, aim for that right torso, and yep, that is more than enough to rip that crab to absolute pieces. So as we complete the next priority mission tomorrow, we will be going up to some higher skull rating missions that will be a little bit more deadly for us than what these last couple have been. Now, if you guys do go back and watch some of the earlier missions, we had some 1.5, 2 skull missions that we were barely able to survive, so it really does change as your pilots get better, as your mechs get a little bit better, and opening up the black market really did wonders for our ability to handle these sorts of difficulties really hasn't been something we can do with confidence for all that long. So the Thunderbolt taking a bit of damage, a smattering, I guess you could say, of damage from that crab, and we should be able now to see about taking that out. So the Locust only has 1 pip of evasion. What I'm tempted to do is focus fire on it with the Thunderbolt, move him back a little bit so he doesn't take anything that could get through that armor potentially, even though we do have quite a bit left. And we'll use the Annihilator on that damaged crab. Yeah, so I think the dragon will try to finish off that Locust. Shouldn't be too difficult of a task. If the AC5 or the large laser hits, that's quite a bit of damage coming in. And yeah, so that Locust barely hanging on. I guess we could rip off the other arm or one of the legs if we're unlucky, but we do manage to land enough damage to core out that mech. And now it's just the crab remaining. So we'll swing the Annihilator, not the Shadowhawk, the Annihilator rather, as close as we can. We'll take a precision strike and aim right for that CT. Not the best chance to hit. A little bit better odds, well, kind of not great odds on anything. This is a downside of having Behemoth in this mech instead of somebody like Archangel, who has a bonus to Called Shot. So we do want to keep someone with that Called Shot bonus in there as much as possible, but you know, we did that last mission and they took a head hit, which is why they're not in it right now. And that Shadowhawk able to core out the crab, and that's the remainder of the opposing forces for this mission. So as soon as we move up and occupy the base, that should be enough to to finish us off. So the Annihilator really proving how slow it is, and the Thunderbolt both just 1 or 2 tiles away from being able to end the mission now, and we will have to roll around to one last turn before we're able to say goodbye to this lovely planet. Just sprint everything up for good measure, why not? And we'll be right back with the mission reward screen.
Mission successful.
Alright, here we are, 900,000, pretty good payday. And part of the reason I'm going for so much money over salvage is, so now that we have the black market open, but we still have relatively, well, low skull rating missions that we're able to complete, we're able to pursue most of our better equipment and mechs will be coming from purchasing through the black market rather than scavenging on the field. So I mean, the best thing we could have scavenged there were some medium mechs, maybe a couple advanced parts or 2 if we get lucky, but I'd rather save that luck for the black market, which rolls quite a bit more chances to get something good. So with that, thank you all for sticking around. If you like this, please do like, share, and subscribe. It really does help with how small our channel is at the moment, and we'll be back tomorrow with another episode and another priority mission. So stick around.